Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everyone to our subject EPDV 1143 Play in Early Childhood Education. So, for this week, it's going to be our week one, and we are going to look at Unit 1, which is Introduction to Play in Early Childhood Education. So before we go further, let's look at the learning outcome for this topic. Okay, so we only have a three learning outcome that we will try to achieve by the end of this unit. So the first learning outcome will be um, is for you to define what is meant by the word play. Okay, and then secondly, to explain the characteristic of play, and lastly, for you to be able to explain the play from historical perspective. Okay, so what does play means to you? All right. Um, the United Nations actually recognize play as a fundamental rights for every every children. Okay, so they have highlighting um, the critical role in development. Okay, they said that play is not just an activity, however, it is also essential for children to grow and learn. Okay, because play offers the children a chance to explore, imagine, and express themselves freely. Okay, so through play, children develop holistically, which means that it will include physical, emotion, and also their socially. So, as we continue, we will explore how play can shape a child's world and why it is considered defining features of early childhood. Okay, so as I have mentioned, okay, play is a critical part of children childhood. Okay, especially in their early years, it shapes a child's world, and also it gives us as the adult a brief view into how the children see and understand their surrounding. Okay, so think of play as a language of children. It's how they express themselves. Okay, it's how they learn and also interact with the world around them. So as we explore further, keep in mind that play is not just an activity. Okay, play it's a very important parts of children growth and development. Okay, now uh, play also is an innate need. Okay, play it's a natural, okay, and also essential needs for children. Okay, not only for children, actually, play it's essential for every living creatures, every living being. Okay, it's both for human and also animal. So just like eating and sleeping, playing is also very important for our health and our well-being. Okay, because play can help us to learn about the world and the place around us. Okay, so through play, young children can develop a deeper understanding of themselves, their family, and also their communities. Okay, so there's this video that you all can watch. Okay, that can show you how other living being, okay, or animal also can engage in play. All right, so this is actually highlighting that play its universal importance. Okay, so what does it mean by the word play? Okay, so the concept of play, um it has like a universal agreed upon definition lah. So due it is because due to its complexity and also variation. So researchers basically they struggle to pinpoint or to find a single definition. However, there is a common characteristic which include um, such as um, spontaneous enjoyment and also engagement. So um, Basically, play is a diverse and a dynamic activity that can be viewed in various form. Okay, so what is meant by the word play? So, as I mentioned just now, there is no one single definition to actually um, define what play is. Okay. However, play can be recognized through this unique characteristic. Okay, which is play is pleasurable. So, play can bring joy and excitement for children. Okay, and also it is intrinsically motivated. All right, means that it driven by the child curiosity itself. They themselves wanted to do it by themselves without being forced to do so. And play has a non-literal orientation, so it means that it's not necessarily to use whatever the real things is. Okay, so they can just use anything to pretend to be something else. Okay, so this allow the children for their imagination and also pretend play scenarios. Okay, so next one, play is flexible and changing. Okay, it's flexible and dynamic. It's no one aesthetic way. Okay, it can be changed throughout the play session. So they will be adapting to imagination and situation. And also play requires active engagement. Okay, whereby it will requires children to involve their bodies, their mind, and also their emotion. So this characteristic actually highlights play importance in recognizing what a play is. Okay, which related to their development. Yeah, so as I mentioned just now, play is pleasurable. Okay, so whenever children play, okay, um, they feel happy. Okay, it can be pleasure for them. Right, they express, which we can see lah. It can be expressed through their smile, their laughter, which is a very important. Okay, for children. So another important characteristic. Okay, important aspect in play is that it should be self-chosen and also self-directed. Okay, so it helps children, it allows the children to decide when and how to play, which is a very important aspect of play. Okay, which to provide a freedom for them. Okay, uh, uh, to choose how they wanted to play. Okay, so ultimately play is not just about fun. Okay, it also about a children ability to choose. Okay, and to decide. Okay, so as I mentioned just now, okay, play require active engagement, whereby they should be using their whole body, including the physical, cognitive, and also their emotional. All right. So I think I have mentioned this just now. Okay, play is intrinsically motivated. Okay, meaning that children play out of their desire rather than for a reward or a directive. Okay, this internal motivation is what makes play more personal and also fulfilling, which can foster for children independence and creativity. Okay, so how play is flexible and constantly changing. All right, as we all can see, children usually during play, children have the freedom to be spontaneous. Okay, they can change the rule, they can be experimenting with the materials or experimenting with new ideas all during their playtime. So this flexibility actually allowed them to transfer and diverse whatever types of play that they play. Okay, and their behavior, which can lead to a new play experiences. All right, so it is also important to note that while the young children are play, it often play without sets of rule. Okay, they may have specific rules that they all understand. Okay, so as they all grow, some children can begin to enjoy games with rules. Okay, which can be different from what us as the adult defined as a rules. Okay, so remember the ability to adapt and innovate within play is also very important for children development and creativity. Okay, so again, play has non-literal orientation, means that children can treat other object and action differently from um, the actual reality, how it being used in reality. So, for example, like using a stick as a sword, or maybe what we can see here, a tissue roller as a binocular. Okay, so this transformative ability, whereby they can transform something else to become something else. Okay, so this ability is actually very important for them to explore and also understand the world creatively. Okay. Okay, now let's look at the history of play. Okay, so the history of play can be very interesting. Okay, we can trace them back to the ancient civilization like China, Peru, and also Egypt. Lah. There are also some archaeological findings, which include some drawings and artifacts such as dolls and also topsa, which has highlighted that play has also significant development through the history. Okay, the anthropologists also have found evidence of storytelling, games, and also dancing in various culture, which has shown us that play is universal and timeless activity. Okay, now let's start by looking at the ancient time. Okay, we start by Plato. Plato is a Greek philosopher lah. So he has highlighted the importance of play in children development, whereby he believed that early experiences can shape the children's future. So he advocates for a play that resembles adult roles and also encourage children to create their own toys to develop their relevant skills lah. So Plato also uh, that uh, urge for support for children games. He emphasized play has significant role in their personal growth. Okay, so all his a view or insight has revealed that play has a crucial element in the child's education and development, which can foster for a holistic, well-rounded in individual. Okay, so he has outlined children development in basically in four stages, starting from infant until the middle stage lah. Okay, so briefly, infant at the age of 0 to 3 years old, all right, and also nursery at 3 to 6 years old. Basically, at this stage, they are focused on play and fairy tales lah. Okay, mild punishment. Should be My punishment is the key lah. Okay, should you want to punish the children, it should be mild only. And then at the age of elementary, the 6 to 13 years old. Okay, so there will be a separate education for boys and girls in subjects like letters, mathematics, okay, and so on lah. Okay, and with boys can start with a military training, probably to discipline them lah. Okay, and then at the age of a middle age, 13 to 16 years old, whereby there will be an introduction of advanced subject and formal military training for boys. So basically, he emphasized protecting children from fear and pain to foster a nurturing environment, aiming for a balanced development in preparation for adult responsibility. Okay, and then we look at Aristotle. He also a notable Greek philosopher. He emphasized the importance of play and physical activity in early childhood education as well. Okay, he advocates against rushing children into formal schooling in order to support their natural growth. So he valued He also valued leisure time, okay, whereby he believed it can help for well-rounded development, whereby he highlight the need for balance between learning and play. Okay, so his idea encouraged nurturing both the body and mind of young learner. Okay. All right, and then we have Quintilian. Okay, Quintilian, also a Roman philosopher, who has transformed educational thought in ancient Rome time, whereby he emphasized that education is a private matter decided by their family. Okay, so he advocates for learning through play as well, warning against early formal education, okay, that could foster resentment. Okay, so he recognized a children's unique temperament. Okay, therefore he promotes individual learning approaches. Okay, additionally, Quintilian reject corporal punishment. Okay, he viewed that this punishment as degrading and also unnecessarily with quality um, instruction. So he progressive insight. His progressive insight actually has highlighted a compassionate approach to young children education. Okay, now moving on to medieval time. Okay, so medieval time during the Middle Age. Okay, the view of childhood has changed. So unlike the earlier time, where kids were quickly expected to behave like adults, okay, uh, often by age 5 or 6. So this means that uh, children childhood is viewed as a separate phase of life. Okay, was not really acknowledged. Okay, so during this time, wealthy children get to spend their early years learning skills like archery or chess. However, for those poorer kids, they will begin to work as soon as they were able to. Okay, so it wasn't until the Reformation um, time, okay, that childhood begin to seen as an important state again. Okay, so it is important to understand that this was a time when the idea of child development was quite different from what we have today. Okay, so remember, this perspective changed over time. Okay, and we will look into it further during our slides. Okay, so during the medieval time also, okay, uh children were seen as the mini adult lah. Okay, however, some researchers like Orme have found some evidence suggesting that children during this time also actually they had their own possession and engage in play activity despite all the work that they have to do. Okay, there are also record and artifacts that show that children were also loved and cared for. For instance, parents were deeply affected by the loss of their child, which demonstrate the emotional bond and recognition of children as distinct from adult. Yeah, because previously there are evidence saying that children were a mini adult, but also there are some evidence showing that there's evidence that children were viewed as distinct from adult. Children were viewed as not as a mini adult. Now, okay, so it is important to note that portrayal from time to time can indicates that allow indicates that adult did allow children to play. Okay, and there were a clear recognition of their unique needs and roles in the society. So this evidence has challenged the idea that childhood was completely overlooked during the middle age. Okay, which has show a more nuanced more complete understanding of medieval children life. Okay, now moving on to the Reformation and Renaissance. So we have all of these more familiar name. Okay, starting with Martin Luther. in the year 1483 to 1546. Okay, so he was a figure in the Reformation known for his contribution to educational reform. So he actually believed education should align with children's natural development, okay, which promotes for active engagement again through play and physical activity. So Luther has emphasized the importance of hard work in both school and home, while also at the same time valuing play as a part of balanced upbringing. So his vision for education has become the basis, okay, for the future child-centered approaches, which what we have today, okay, which has a um, uh, blend diligence with the freedom to play. Okay, he also says that our schools are no longer a hell and purgatory in which children are tortured over cases and tents in which, with much flogging, trembling, anguish, and wrenchiousness, they learn nothing. Okay, so basically, it shouldn't be a place for children to be afraid of. Okay, now we move to John Amos Comenius. So, Comenius was a pioneer in Czech theologian, okay, who promoted child-centered education, which introduced the mother school. Okay, so the mother school concept for educating children at the age of 0 to 6 at home. So he has emphasized learning through engaging experiences and influenced later educational philosophers like Rousseau and Montessori. So Comenius has linked children uh, growth to that a tree, okay, whereby he suggests that proper care can lead to maturity and fruitful outcome. So reflect on how this principle align with our modern educational practice that focus on active learning and holistic development. So how are these ideas evident in today's educational system? Okay, and then moving on to John Locke in the year of 1632 to 1704. So, John Locke is a physician and philosopher, significantly influenced childhood education and play. So, he believed children should play with one toy at a time. So, this to foster care and also respect for their belonging. Okay, he feared that too many toys would lead to wastefulness and also dissatisfaction. Okay, so Locke advocate for a hands-on approach and encourage children to create their own toys with adult support, nurturing creativity and responsibility. Okay, so his idea aimed to instill value for lifelong contentment and respect for possession. Okay, and then moving on to the 18th and 19th century, we have Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Okay, so he has significantly influenced educational thought with his 1762 work titled Email on Education. Okay, email. All right, email. Alright, so this work advocating for holistic education, which aim at responsible citizenship. So he has criticized the traditional practice, okay, emphasizing the importance of allowing children to move freely and supporting their natural interests at different developmental stages. So Rousseau revolutionary child-centered approach encourage educators to tailor learning to each child unique need and interest. Okay, so in Rousseau time, education focused on memorization. okay, which deemed insufficient. So he argued that children should learn through hands-on experiences, especially emphasizing play for age below 5. Okay, so Rousseau viewed play as vital for developing a healthy body and mind. Okay, encouraging children to engage in adult game to foster skills like observation, reasoning. Okay, so his holistic approach was revolutionary, which promotes a balance between structured learning and also free exploration. Okay, so this continues to influence our educational today. Okay, and then we have Johann Pestalozzi. Okay, so Pestalozzi was a Swiss educator. He also inspired by Rousseau. Okay, so he advocates for educational opportunity for the poor. In 1769, he has purchased a farm. Okay, um, a farm. Okay, Neuhof. He has purchased a farm, and then he opened a school on the farm which called Neuhof. Okay, to combine educational with practical work. Okay, however, a financial failure and debt has resulted from poor soil and unsuccessful school effort lah. So despite this setback, Pestalozzi remained dedicated to reform education, okay, emphasize for practical and accessible learning for all. So his work laid the foundation for future educational reform, promoting inclusive and practical education that continues to influence our modern practices. Okay, and then we have, uh, and then um, and then after that, okay, he opened a school in Stans, Switzerland, okay, to support orphaned children. Okay, after a French invention lah. So despite all the limited resources, he observed significant progress in children by integrating educational with practical work and discovery. So, opposing the exclusion and harsh discipline in education, Pestalozzi's innovative approach combined learning with real life skills, revolutionizing educational practice and preparing children for life beyond the classroom. Okay, so on top of that, okay, he has his time in Burgdorf around 1800, where he founded a successful educational institute for the middle class, but he felt disappointed for not reaching the poor because his previous work mainly focused for the poor and orphanage. So in 1801, he published How Gertrude Teaches Her Children, emphasizing kindness and gentle language in teaching, advocating for nurturing approach rather than direct command. So the key point include Pestalozzi disappointment, okay, the impact of his publication, and the significant gentle of teaching method. Okay, so we continue in about in the year of 1805. Okay, Pestalozzi founded his famous school in Verdun. How to pronounce this? Okay, Verdun, attracting which has attract a global educator lah, despite all the challenges. And he introduced the concept of readiness, okay, stressing that children will learn best when developmentally prepared through hands-on experiences. Okay, so his groundbreaking ideas on all of this experiential learning and cognitive readiness significantly influence our modern educational practices. Okay, all right, and then moving on to Friedrich Froebel. Okay, so Friedrich Froebel is the creator of kindergarten, okay, which means garden for children. So he has emphasized nurturing young minds in a supportive environment, influenced by educational philosophers like Pestalozzi. He recognized that a lack of organization could hinder educational goal, which leading him to develop a structured approach to early childhood education. Okay, and then in 1837, okay, uh, Froebel has initiated the early childhood education approach, okay, in Germany. So he believed children need nurturing like a young plant and emphasize the importance of play for learning. Okay, so Froebel encouraged the use of natural materials to foster creativity and advocates for outdoor activities, including gardening and playgrounds. So he introduced these sets of gift and occupations, which were an activity like drawing and painting, can allow children to learn at their own pace. Okay, so this is basically the list of Frobel gift. Okay, this is how Frobel gift looks like. Okay, basically in this gift it has a sets of tools or materials that can be used from the age of infant until about 4 to 5 years old. Okay, so some of the gift or the material include soft ball or yarn ball. Okay, soft or yarn ball, which are suitable for infant, which can help with their sensory experiences and coordination. And then we have the sphere and cube. Okay, we have this sphere. Okay, we have this sphere and cube. All right. Okay, this is sphere and cube, which can introduce geometric shapes, which can foster for children cognitive development. Okay, and so on. All right. Okay, these are some quote from Froebels. Okay, and some example of children's toys throughout the age from back in 1930s up until the recent 2000 years. All right. Okay, so that will be all for our uh, unit for this time. I shall be seeing you all on our next unit. Thank you for listening, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.